Thank you all for joining us today for the introduction to your alumni benefits from the Harvard Kennedy School. Congratulations to the class of 2024 on your graduation. We are just so excited to welcome you to the greater HKS alumni community. I'm Karen Bonadio. I'm the Senior Director of Alumni Relations. Also joining us is Krista Meserve, who's the Director of Alumni Operations. We have Hannah Newen, who is the Alumni Relations Specialist, as well as Kimberly Thomas, who is the Alumni Relations and HKS Fund Coordinator. So we are the Alumni Relations team, and we just very much look forward to serving you for the coming years. So to kick things off, we'll just move to the next slide. And so you are now a lifelong member of the HKS alumni community. This includes a number of regional and local networks, special interest groups, reunion class committees. Your reunion will be held every 5 years. We look forward to welcoming you all in 2029 for our marquee celebration. And the purpose of the Alumni Association is to promote lifelong engagement with each other and with HKS and encourage continuous learning and service to the public interest and represent HKS within your organization or community. We also hold an annual meeting of the Alumni Association, which is held during reunion weekend. However, it will be open up to all alumni, and that's just a really great opportunity to get an update from the HKS Alumni Board and to hear kind of, the work that they've been doing to engage and strengthen the alumni community. So you have now joined the largest network of public servants and those that have this this degree in public policy. So we have over 26,000 degree program alumni, 70% of which live here in the United States, although HKS is, I think it is the most international school at Harvard. We have professional learning alumni, so that's alumni that have participated in executive education courses, the public leadership credential, and others, and that comprises about 66,000 other alumni. Alumni represent 200 plus communities, countries, and territories, with our largest domestic populations in DC, Boston, New York, San Francisco, and LA, and our largest international populations in London, Paris, Delhi, Tokyo, Beijing, and Mexico City. Officially, there are HKS alumni networks in about 20 regions. All this information too can be found on our website, and we have alumni ambassadors representing 13 additional locations, and there are 7 HKS specific shared interest groups. So this is an overview of all of our alumni around the world, which you are now a part of, and there's many, many opportunities to kind of plug in to expand your community and to meet people not only within your core cohort and degree program, but other HKS alumni that live and work and travel around the world.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Meserve, the Director of Alumni Operations. I just wanted to go over a few of the housekeeping details on how you can stay engaged and make sure that you are receiving communications from us, from the school, from the university. So the most important thing is to log into the alumni directory when you get a chance. It is a great resource. Here you can search for alumni, and this is university-wide, so not just HKS specific. You can search on location, year, program, and this is where you will keep your contact information up to date. So for example, if you don't tell us that you moved to DC, you're not going to get emails about events that are happening in DC that you might be interested in. Make sure to keep your mailing address up to date, your email address up to date. When you change jobs, change locations, I know it's not the first thing you think about, but please remember to let us know. Otherwise, we will not know where you are. We will not be able to find you, and you'll just miss out on a wealth of information, knowledge from the school, university, and information about ways you can stay engaged with the alumni community as you go out into the world. So now that you have officially graduated, I believe all the tech has been transferred over, so you should be able to go into the Harvard-wide directory now and access everything as an alum. And then I know this is on the top of everyone's mind, so I just wanted to go over email forwarding. So as a graduate, you do get access to email forwarding. And you set this up through that alumni directory profile. So again, that's the place to go to get everything sorted with your contact information. So you'll be able to set up an email forwarding address. So it'll be your name at alumni.harvard.edu. So just to clarify, it is an alias. It is not an email account. It does not have an inbox. It will merely point to whichever email address you designate. So we highly suggest that you connect that forwarding address to a personal email address that you regularly use, like a Gmail, whichever you prefer, and not your current student email address. Because as some of you may know, I believe IT already told you this, you do have access to your HKS student email for 1 year following graduation. So until the end of May 2025, you will have access to your Office 365 account. That will go away. So if let's say you connect your student email address to your forwarding address, this time next year, it will no longer work. So again, we're just stressing the importance of setting up that forwarding address, connecting it to a personal email, and just making sure that you keep your information up to date and accurate in the directory so that you receive everything and you don't miss out.
We have a question here, just related to this, Kristen, in the chat about there's an initiative to petition for lifelong access to our HKS emails as alumni. Where does that stand? So Sarah Carmone, who's the executive director of the Harvard Alumni Association, has stated that we are following the protocol of Harvard University, and as it stands, there will not be lifelong access. What Harvard University can offer our newly grads and moving forward is email forwarding.
And I saw another question about, just to clarify what you can do with the forwarding address. So yes, you can send from it. It is an alias account. So it will work both to send, and then when you receive it, it will then just go to whichever email account that you connect to it, like Gmail, Outlook, etc.
And Harvard has outsourced this service, so you will have customer service, and hopefully improved delivery of said emails. That was something that they have spent like the last year or two looking into to improve the email forwarding opportunity for Harvard alumni. So there's a number of ways to stay engaged beyond graduation. We highly encourage you to join a local HKS alumni network. And if there's not one in your city or region, there are a number of Harvard alumni clubs worldwide. I believe there are 250 Harvard clubs regionally, and there's 50 shared interest groups that are all Harvard-wide. Some have membership fees, some don't, and where they open up their events. And that's just a really great opportunity, once again, to expand your network and to meet other Harvard alumni that may share your interests or your background or that experience. There are also opportunities. Hannah Newen works very closely or is the liaison with the HKS regional networks, and there are opportunities to create one. If one does not exist specifically for HKS alumni, but we just have some criteria where it's like 100+ alumni need to live or live in that region, but we're happy to work with you on that if there's an interest. And a lot of the established groups are also always looking for leadership. So it's also a great way. I know Kristen and I were recently in London in March, and there were some new grads from last year that had moved there, and they just found it was a really great opportunity to plug in to the HKS London network because that was their first time living in the area, and just a great way to meet people and to experience things in this new city that they were living in. You can engage with faculty webinars and on Wiener conference calls. Wiener conference calls are offered by another department within the Alumni Relations Resource Development Office, that they're great public policy talks with faculty on current events. And also the Alumni Relations Office works very closely with the Alumni Board, and we co-partner with the Alumni Board and other regional groups or shared interest groups to offer some faculty webinars. And we do try to set those apart, not so much focused on public policy topics, but maybe something of interest in terms of your professional growth or just adding on to your learning here at the Kennedy School. We also, during J-term, there's an opportunity to host a current student, whether that's virtually or in person. That is after reunion. It is our second strongest program in terms of an engagement opportunity with our alumni. 300 plus alumni participate along with students. And it's a really great opportunity to just kind of stay connected to the school and offering that career advice to current students. You can volunteer to help admissions with student recruitment. This is something too that we're working very closely with the Alumni Board on and our colleagues in admissions and enrollment to help with yield and recruiting. I know we have a form so that people can kind of indicate interest because they're always looking for alumni to either represent at certain recruiting events or in certain cities, or if there's professional organizations that you're a part of that you feel the school should be recruiting from, they want to hear from you as well. Become a PAE client. This is something that I know is if you're an MVP student that you experience, but we're working really closely with our colleagues to offer alumni to submit PAE opportunities. We know not all alumni will be selected or all opportunities will be selected, but we still feel like it's a great way to engage the cohort, to submit ideas, and then to potentially be matched with student or student groups for this exercise. We also work very closely with a number of campus partners, so also with the Office of Career Advancement and Paula Cosera with their employer relations team. And so I know there are also great opportunities to plug in with them in terms of a career chat with students or helping students with job and internship opportunities. This map just shows where all the HKS regional connections are. And so as we had mentioned in slides earlier, like our domestic opportunities really live on the East and West Coast, but we're really happy to share that the Chicago Alumni Network is the newest regional network that has been affirmed by the Alumni Board at their past board meetings. We're really excited to welcome that cohort of alumni into our community in terms of working more closely with them on engagement opportunities, bringing faculty into the region, and just supporting them with general engagement opportunities. These are the shared interest groups that I mentioned. So at the Harvard Kennedy School, there are 7. The Adaptive Leadership, they hold a conference every fall. I did notice that this fall it'll be held in October and here in the Boston area. The Black Alumni Association is holding an inaugural Black Alumni Reunion on September 26th and 27th, which will kind of front load the Harvard Black Alumni Weekend. All alumni are welcome to join. It will be a free event and another great way to kind of plug into a shared interest group and in person. Emerging technologies, I know some of their leadership is focused here or based here in the Boston area. We have the state and local government. We're actually looking for new leadership. So if there's any alumni that are, if there's any current or new students in this group today that has an interest in kind of getting involved with the leadership right off the bat with our state and local government SIG, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd be happy to share more about what that means and how to re-engage that population. The Women's Network and Women in Defense Diplomacy and Development, those are very strong groups and they also create regional connections. So I know the Women's Network has a number of regional connections, domestic, international, all over the world. And they also are a sponsor, I believe, of the G20 summit. So they're focused on climate change. So there's a lot of great opportunities plugging into that Women's Network if that's of interest to you in terms of opportunities, either regional opportunities or to get more involved in the work that they do. And then our newest shared interest group is the HKS Alumni Pride Caucus. And we worked very closely with them in their first year to create an event in the forum for National Coming Out Day. And I know that they're working on building up and strengthening that community.
I just wanted to highlight some of the other ways that you can stay engaged with us online through our various social media channels and communications. So we have a Facebook group, we have a LinkedIn page that many of you may already be a part of, that's managed by OCA. School has a Twitter account, we have a YouTube channel, Instagram. You can sign up for the IOP's newsletter to get information about forums. All IOP forums are live streamed, so you can still continue to watch those, even though you may not be here in person. We have a monthly newsletter that we send out with stories about various alumni out in the field, information about what's going on at the school, and where we also highlight upcoming events. We also do a weekly digest when the newsletter is not sent out that highlights all the various either virtual or in-person events that are happening at the school or with the various alumni groups that you can join. So that's another great resource just to keep engaged and know what's happening. We have an HKS Alumni magazine that's sent out twice a year. And then of course, in classic Harvard fashion, we're very decentralized. So each center has its own newsletter and email list too. So if you are, close to a center, you identify with one more so than others, I would recommend signing up for those newsletters so you can keep informed and up to date with what's going on with those various groups. Again, I can't stress this enough. Make sure to keep your information up to date because you will not get any of this if we do not have a current email address on file for you.
Yes, I just want to interrupt because I did get a direct question about how to join these affinity groups. I answered the wrong question, but how to join these affinity groups. So every summer, in the next few weeks, the Alumni Relations Office surveys all the regional networks and shared interest groups and asking them about what they've done this past year, if there's any more, what they've learned and how potentially the Alumni Relations Office can help them in the future. And by filling out that survey, we will then give them a list of recent grads that have moved into the region, into their particular region that they represent. So it's very important, once again, as Kristen mentioned, to share your personal email address, to give us a preferred mailing address, because that's how at least we'll update the regional networks in terms of where we know where you may be, and so that then they can add you to their mailing list, and then you can be well informed about what's happening in the region. We also are proactively trying to do a better job with that through the Alumni Relations Department, by our monthly communications and our weekly digest, by sharing with you events that are happening in person or virtually that you can participate in. In terms of the affinity groups, it's most of them have websites, and it's best to just go. We will share links afterwards, and I can also share links here in the chat to just go directly to their website and sign up for their mailing list, because for that, you really have to indicate that you are in interest of joining that affinity group, and then you'll start receiving their communications.
I just wanted to highlight a couple of more benefits that are available to you now as alumni. So you still have access to the library. You can get help from librarians with research, professional inquiries. You have access to the various library databases remotely, and as well as on-site access if you're back here on campus. All this information is on the website. So if you go to the alumni section of the webpage, you'll see a drop down for benefits, and then click on degree program alumni benefits, and this will all be laid out for you there. And then if you ever decide to come back and take an exec ed course as a degree program alum, you do receive a 30% discount. This is me again. So again, stressing it, just please keep your information up to date in the directory. Again, personal email address is the most important one to connect to that forwarding address, so we make sure that we do not lose you. And then of course, stay in touch with us. Let us know what your interests are, how you stay connected to each other, if anyone's interested in maybe starting their own group, or if you're going back to a city or region where you find that there is a large HKS community and nothing formal, we're happy to talk to you about next steps on creating potentially a group down the road. So there's a ton of different ways you can stay engaged, but the most important thing is to make sure that you stay connected to us, as we are here as a resource to you.
Does anyone have any questions? I know too that we have recorded this webinar. And so Kristen, or the Alumni Relations team, will share it out afterwards to those that not only joined us, but those that registered, and will be mindful to include some important links of some of the engagement opportunities that we mentioned. Is there a way in which we can join the Alumni Board? Yes, that's a great question. Thank you so much. So the Alumni Board is a board comprised of 20 members. Elections are held every 2 years. So the next opportunity you'll be able to run is in 2026. There is a process in terms where it is a self-nomination. And then there is a nominations committee of the Alumni Board. They review everybody that submits. We had over 186 alumni submit a self-nomination this year. And then they have to narrow down. There's a number of rounds where they're scoring people on a rubric, and then they are interviewing a second group, and then they narrow down the slate to 12 alumni, where it's an open election to the alumni community. And so from that slate, 8 alumni are elected. And then also an update to their bylaws in recent years is that there's an additional 4 appointments that are made for a 2-year term. So when you're elected to the board, it's a 4-year term. And then there's also an opportunity to be appointed to the Alumni Board for a 2-year term. But really the appointments really focus on nominations and looking for alumni that might already be embedded in the regional networks or shared interest groups or have a strong affinity to the school. But I know we have a number of recent grads on our alumni board, which we're really excited about because it just really gives us insight on how we can better serve our alumni and what are the opportunities that are going to resonate with more recent class years, with those that are 10 or 15 years out, and then those, that are closer to retirement age. So I think also too in the follow-up email, Kristen, if you share, the general email address or our email addresses, so that way if anyone comes up with questions after the fact, you feel free to reach out to the Alumni Relations office at any time. Your journey does not end. It's just a whole new beginning in terms of staying connected to the school and staying connected to each other and just really expanding that network that you are now a part of. So thank you all and congratulations again.